Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Translation: O my Lord Shri Krishna, Son of Vasudev, O all-pervading personality of Godhead, I offer my respectful obeisances unto you. I meditate upon Lord Shri Krishna because He is the absolute truth and the primeval cause of all causes of the creation, sustenance and destruction of the manifested universes. He is directly and indirectly conscious of all manifestations, and He is independent because there is no other cause beyond Him. It is He only who first imparted the Vedic knowledge unto the heart of Brahmaji, the original living being. By Him, even the great sages and demigods are placed into illusion, as one is bewildered by the illusory representations of water seen in fire or land seen on water. Only because of Him do the material universes, temporarily manifested by the reactions of the three modes of nature, appear factual, although they are unreal. I therefore meditate upon Him, Lord Sri Krishna, who is eternally existent in the transcendental abode, which is forever free from the illusory representations of the material world. I meditate upon Him, for He is the absolute truth. Purport. It's a long purport, I'll just read one paragraph. Obeisances unto the personality of Godhead, Vasudev, directly indicates Lord Shri Krishna, who is the divine son of Vasudev and Devaki. This fact will be more explicitly explained in the text of this work. Shri Vyasadeva asserts herein that Shri Krishna is the original personality of Godhead, and all others are His direct or indirect plenary portions or portions of the portion. Srila Jiva Goswami has even more explicitly explained the subject matter in his Krishna Sandarbha. And Brahma, the original living being, has explained the subject of Shri Krishna substantially in his treatise named Brahma Samhita. In the Samaveda Upanishad it is also stated that Lord Shri Krishna is the divine son of Devaki. Therefore in this prayer, the first proposition holds that Lord Shri Krishna is the primeval Lord, and if any transcendental nomenclature is to be understood as belonging to the absolute personality of Godhead, it must be the name indicated by the word Krishna, which means the all-attractive. Hare Krishna. Om Ajnantimirandhasya Jnananjanashalakaya Chakshurun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Mukam Karoti Vachalam Panghum Langhayate Girim Yat Kripa Tamaham Vande Shri Gurum Dinataranam Sri Chaitanya Ishwaram Paramananda Madhavam Namaom Vishnupadaya Krishna Presthaya Bhutale Shrimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Vanchakalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Yuntah pravishya mama vacham imam prasuptam sanjeevayathyakhila shaktidhara swadhamna anyamscha hastacharana shravanatvagadin pranan namo bhagavate purushaya tubhyam. Hare Krishna. So first of all, before I begin, I would like to seek the blessings of all the senior devotees. We are embarking on a very difficult task of trying to look at the summary study of the whole Srimad Bhagavatam, 12 cantos in 3 sessions, which is like such a difficult thing to cover the whole thing in such a short while is tough. So I'm just trying to see if we could go through the episodes in summary so that at least we know what is where. Many times we are not so inspired to pick up the book and read, and therefore when we at least hear what is in the Srimad Bhagavatam and go through the whole summary study of the 12 cantos, there is an inspiration that let me look up in the book and see what is there. So this whole attempt and to serve is to see if we could feel some inspiration to pick up the Srimad Bhagavatam and try to read the purports of His Divine Grace, Srila Prabhupada. Otherwise, to speak on this book is a very tall order, Like this particular verse, 1.1.1, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur Prabhupada lectured on this verse for 1 month. 1 full month, only one verse was discussed. And we are trying to discuss the whole Srimad Bhagavatam in 3 sessions. You can imagine how hard that could be. Nevertheless, we will make our attempt. Please pay kind attention to what I am trying to read now. Tadeva darshayitum granthavatara nikamaha atheti nana puranam Srimad Bhagavateteranam shastranam dharma shastra vedanta shastranamscha pravandaihi rachinabihi chittasya prasattim prasadam tatra purana itihasadi prabandeshu Srimad Bhagavataha Shri Krishnasya gunanam leelanam varnanam pradhanam mukhyam yatra tad bhagavat shastram praripsuhu prarambham kartum icchan tasmin shastra varnanadau ye pratyuha vignastesham nivrityadi siddhaye adina purna vignan भावसिद्धये तस्मिन् भागवते प्रतिपाद्याः या परदेवता परब्रह्म रूपा तस्य यदनुस्मरणं मुहुः स्मरणं तदेव लक्षणं स्वरूपं यस्य ततः मंगलादिनी मंगलम ध्यानी मंगलांतानि शास्त्राणि प्रंथन्ते वीर पुरुषका आयुष्मत् पुरुषा भवन्ति ही इति भाष्यात् यद्यपि शास्त्राणि कपिलस्य कणादस्य गौतमस्य पताञ्जलेः व्यासस्य जैमिनिश्चेश्चापि शास्त्राणि षड् विदुर्बुधाः इत्यभ्युक्तोक्तेः षडेव सन्ति. Should I read more? Continue? Okay. Someone is saying so. I'll continue for 5 more minutes. तथापि हि सर्वधर्मादि पुरुषार्थ शासनानां मुख्यं शास्त्रत्वं श्री व्यास परिणितत्वांच षडन्त्व वर्षित्वम् अपिति प्रकरण प्रतिपाद्यार्थानां कार्त्स्नेन प्रतिपादको ग्रन्थः शास्त्रम् एतस्य शास्त्र लक्षणास्यापि यथा कथञ्चिदत्र घटनादपस्य. Shall I continue? No? How many of you feel enlightened? How many of you understood what I spoke? You understood? Some. They are saying, I'll interview them later. We have no time for the interview. They are too bold to say they understood. I'll ask them later. This is just 1 page. Not even 1 page. 1 stanza of the 200-page commentary on the first verse of the Srimad Bhagavatam. This is just 1 stanza of the 200 pages of commentary that exist by the different acharyas on the first verse of the first canto, first chapter of the Srimad Bhagavatam. And now you want to read? Shall I read something else? O my Lord Sri Krishna, Son of Vasudeva, O all-pervading personality of Godhead, I offer my respectful obeisances unto you. I meditate upon Lord Sri Krishna because He is the absolute truth and the primeval cause of all causes of the creation, sustenance and destruction of the manifested universes. He is directly and indirectly conscious of all manifestations. We read this translation now. 200 pages of commentaries on just the first verse of the first chapter of the first canto of the Srimad Bhagavatam, and look at what Srila Prabhupada has done. Made it so simple for us in about 3 to 4 pages, 200 pages of knowledge is condensed in. Can we ever be grateful enough to His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada? Jai Srila Prabhupada ki! For the incredible work that Srila Prabhupada did to give commentaries on the Srimad Bhagavatam. Till Srila Prabhupada gave his commentary on the Srimad Bhagavatam, there was no English commentary available. He was the first person to explain the Srimad Bhagavatam in the English language, and thanks to him that we are able to now read the Srimad Bhagavatam and the essence of all the commentaries of all the Vaishnava Acharyas in this 18-volume work presented by His Divine Grace, Srila Prabhupada. And the amount of hard work that Srila Prabhupada had to put in, in making these commentaries is unbelievable. I just want to present to all of you the amount of hard work that Srila Prabhupada did to give this work. And therefore, I want to explain what it means to write a commentary. There are 5 things required to write a commentary. And the following 5 things, if they are present, then you can say it is a commentary. The first thing that is required to write a commentary on any book, Sanskrit book or Vedic literature, is called Padached or Sandhi Vichhed. And Padached means breaking up the words, Sanskrit words, so that they can be read and understood. If you read the Sanskrit lines, it's like one line. And you saw how I was struggling to read? If you want to see, you can join me later to see this Sanskrit commentary. This is from the original commentaries that Srila Prabhupada used. You can join me to read this, and each of these Sanskrit words are so long, And even when Srila Prabhupada gave in English, those words were so long. So the first thing that is needed is divide those words into words that can be understandable. That is called Padavichhed or Sandhi Vichhed. Breaking up those words. The second thing that is required is Padartokti. Padartokti means giving the meanings to the Sanskrit words. Janma. What is the meaning of Janma? Adi. You see, Janmadi is one word. And previously, if you would read in Sanskrit, it was Janmadi Yasya Yataha, one word. So first is divide the words. Second is give meaning to each word. Janma, Adi, Yataha. In English, it's called transliteration. Give word by word meaning to each word after having divided those words. And in Sanskrit, one word can have many different meanings. It's not easy to choose from the many different meanings that one word has and give the particular meaning for that word is not easy. Atma can mean body. Atma can mean mind. Atma can mean the soul. In this context of the words, what is Atma? Transliteration. Padartokti. The third thing that is required in writing a commentary is called Vakya Yojana. Vakya Yojana means now this whole poetic verse has to be formed in a sensible prose sentence. A sentence has to be formed from this verse. A meaningful sentence which when reads conveys the whole meaning, unlike the verse. The fourth thing that is to be done is called Vigraha, or giving meanings to the complex compound words. Like if you say, the Hare Krishnas are coming. Does it mean the Hare Krishna mantra is coming? People who chant Hare Krishna are coming. It's a compound word. Hare Krishnas are coming. The real meaning is people who chant Hare Krishna are coming. So compound words like Kala Rupa. What is Kala Rupa? Time, whose form? Or Krishna, who is the form of time? That is called Vigraha. Expanding on compound words and giving meaning to this complicated compound words. And then the last aspect, fifth aspect is called Tarka. Tarka means giving an argument, then giving a counter argument, then expanding on the argument and explaining the whole verse, which is the purport. These 5 things are required to write a commentary. Dividing the words, giving meaning to the words, forming a sentence from those words, giving meaning to the compound words, and finally writing a commentary or a purport. How many verses in the Srimad Bhagavatam? 18,000. One verse, 200 pages of commentaries. Just the first verse. Can you imagine what Srila Prabhupada was doing? Sitting there late in the night and referring to this Sanskrit books. There was no English version available at all. Referring to the Sanskrit books and going through all of these commentaries word by word, word by word. And trying to understand how would I be able to present it in the English language for the Western world as my spiritual master, His Divine Grace Shri Srimad Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur Prabhupada has ordered me to do. My goodness. Cannot imagine the amount of hard work. I'll tell you, in our Govardhan Eco Village farm in Bombay, we have just recently procured all the commentaries, now the original ones that Srila Prabhupada used, huge voluminous ones. Only when you look at it, can we truly start appreciating, the hard work that Srila Prabhupada put to give us the Srimad Bhagavatam. All we have to do now is pick up the book and read it. That is all. All the hard work has been done. Everything that has to be extracted has been extracted. And in a very practical format, Srila Prabhupada has now given this commentary to us. All we have to do is read it, appreciate it, relish it, Srila Prabhupada was once sitting in Vrindavan, and one of his friends came to him and said, Swamiji, I've brought a gift for you. Srila Prabhupada said, what is the gift? And this man pulled out a pen and said, Swamiji, since you write these commentaries, I've brought a pen for you. Srila Prabhupada said, can I see what pen it is? Prabhupada picked the pen. And it was a branded pen. Parker. All of you heard of Parker pens? Srila Prabhupada looked at the brand, Parker. And he said, this is indeed a very relevant gift. Because in Hindi, Parker means to cross over. Parker. Nadi Parker. That means you cross over the river. Srila Prabhupada said, with this pen, which is of the brand Parker, I'll now write the commentaries which will help everyone to Parker, to cross over the ocean of birth and death. While Srila Prabhupada was at Juhu, trying to translate, you know how devotees can sleep? When they sleep, Bhagavatam class is such a fantastic time to sleep, is it not? Amazing time to sleep. One morning Srila Prabhupada was giving class and all the devotees were sleeping. Everyone. At least sometimes someone's awake. This was an amazing scenario because everyone was sleeping. So Prabhupada had his eyes closed. He was not sleeping. He was meditating. And in his meditation he was saying, and so, it is only by the mercy of Krishna that this movement, the International Society for Krishna Consciousness is going on. And then he opened his eyes and saw everyone in Mahavishnu Leela, state of stupor. And he said, after seeing everyone sleeping, and he said, that is a fact. That everything is going on only by the mercy of Krishna. Can't be because of all of you. Everyone is sleeping in the class. And then one man came to Srila Prabhupada and said to Srila Prabhupada, one American man, he said, Swamiji, I see that all of your followers are sleeping in the class 95% of the time. Srila Prabhupada said, at least they are awake for 5%. He said, you don't even come for I'm not saying you should be awake only for 5% to take a license, but Srila Prabhupada said, at least they are awake for 5%. And then he turned to the American reporter and said, and simply by hearing 5% of the Srimad Bhagavatam, look at what has happened to them. They've started performing devotional service to Krishna. They've started chanting Hare Krishna. And imagine if they would hear 100%, what would happen to them? They would become pure lovers of Krishna. For us, when we hear Bhagavatam, it's easy to go to sleep. Srila Prabhupada spending sleepless nights at Juhu, trying to write these commentaries and translations to the Srimad Bhagavatam. And as he was trying to do that work, one day as he was doing that work, there was some noise that came up. And Srila Prabhupada immediately rang the bell and called his personal servant. And when the personal servant came there, he said, "Go and find out what is the source of this sound. I'm totally disturbed. I'm not able to focus on my translation." And this devotee went all around and couldn't find out where the sound was coming from. And then finally, tracing the sound, he went to the bathroom, and there was a tap. It was leaking, and a drop of water was falling. Just dripping a little bit. And in the dead silence of the night, Srila Prabhupada was disturbed by that little tiny sound of the drop of water falling on the ground. And he said, "I'm not able to focus." How many of us are disturbed by tiny sounds when we are sleeping? Okay, some of us are, Srila Prabhupada said, "I'm not able to translate and focus well. Go take care of that sound." And Srila Prabhupada did tremendous amount of hard work to give us the Srimad Bhagavatam, and devotees all over the world distribute these books of Srila Prabhupada, and these books are changing and transforming the lives of so many people. So many people. In Indonesia, there was a doctor, and this doctor became a devotee, and he thought, "I also must distribute Srila Prabhupada's books. I must also distribute the Srimad Bhagavatam." So he set up a book table, and next to the book table, he set up a table saying, "Free checkup available." And said, "Free blood pressure checkup available, and free medical counseling available." So many people came, And then he would check their blood pressure, and he would see that their blood pressure is high. He said, "You are under too much stress. If you want relief from stress, another table is here. Read these books and you will get stress relief." And he distributed so many books in Indonesia. Very novel way of distributing books. Devotees come up with very novel ways of distributing books. And the figure that the number of books that have been distributed throughout the world today, reaching 6 million now. Right. 6 million books of Srila Prabhupada have been distributed all over planet Earth. And slowly yet, steadily, there is a change that is coming forth. People are changing by reading these books of Srila Prabhupada and reading the Srimad Bhagavatam. So, after offering our gratitude to Srila Prabhupada for having done what he has done and giving us the Srimad Bhagavatam, we would like to embark on this journey of going through the whole Srimad Bhagavatam by seeing what is in these books. We have very short time. Today my attempt is to do Canto 1. Tomorrow my attempt is to go through Cantos 2 till Canto 6. And on Sunday, the attempt is to go from Canto 7 till Canto 12. And I truly don't know how it's going to happen and how it's going to work, but we will try. Chapter 1 of Canto 1 of the Srimad Bhagavatam begins with the chapter called Questions by the Sages. In a place called Naimisharanya, which is just close to Ayodhya, around 80,000 sages have assembled together with one thing in their mind. Srila Prabhupada used to say, "Birds of a feather flock together. All the fans of Manchester United will gather together at the Wembley Stadium. Thousands of them. And all of them will sing, 'Glory, glory, Man United. Glory, glory, Man United. Glory, glory, Man United.' And the Reds go marching. And the whole crowd will say, 'On, on, on.' Birds of a feather flock together. We find people with like-minded mindsets coming together. That's called association. What is association? People who have like-minded mindsets and who have one purpose come together to enhance that purpose. You find people who have one purpose, sports fans, come together to watch a soccer match, Sangha. You find people who have one purpose, music, come together for a rock show with their hero, Michael Jackson, to attend that rock show. Here were 80,000 people. gathered together in Naimisharanya, in the forest of Naimisharanya, all like-minded. They had one purpose in their mind: to please the Lord, to please the devotees, and to benefit the world. In order to benefit the world, all of these sages decided to start a fire sacrifice. 1,000-year-old fire sacrifice. It would go for 1,000 years. And one morning, before the sacrifice, all these sages elected one of the members out of the 80,000 people, Shaunak Rishi, to ask questions. And they elected one member of the audience, Suta Goswami. Jai Shri Radha Gokulananda ki Jai. Shri Sitaram Lakshman Hanuman ji ki Jai. Shri Gaur Nitai ki Jai. And they elected one member of that assembly, Suta Goswami, to answer the questions. So the 80,000 sages were represented by Shaunaka Rishi, and he would ask the questions, and Suta Goswami, who had heard Shukadev Goswami speak Bhagavatam, would reply the questions. And life is all about questions and answers. Don't we go and ask people, how are you? And what do people say? I'm fine. It is said that every man speaks 1,486 lies a year. Only. Every human being speaks a minimum of 1,486 lies a year. And you know what is the biggest lie he speaks? When he's asked, how are you? He says, I'm fine. It's a common question. We always keep going in this realm of questions and answers. University, questions and answers. Market, questions and answers. People meeting each other, questions and answers. Family, husband and wife, questions and answers. Life is about questions and answers. And in Kumbh Mela, also we have a question and answers booth. I went for Kumbh Mela this year, Quite a scene. Quite a scene Kumbh Mela was, and there was a lost and found booth there. And in the lost and found booth, there were announcements being made constantly. One person was making an announcement and saying, Mr. Ramesh Verma, wherever in this area you are in the millions of people, your wife has already gone back home, so please head towards home. He's already making this announcement. One announcement was made, Mr. Rakesh Shuklaji, your wife is standing at the lost and found booth and she's searching for you. Consider yourself extremely fortunate. She's looking for you. Please come quickly. All these kind of announcements going on. And our ISKCON tent would also have a question and answers booth. People would come and ask questions. So one man comes up and asks, have you found my wife? So this devotee said, go and ask in the police station, He said, no, because you've written question and answers booth here. I thought you may have answers to the questions. The policemen don't know, so you're a sage. Please meditate and find out, if my wife is somewhere in the Kumbh Mela campus. Everywhere around there is question and answers going on. Here at Naimisharanya, Shaunaka Rishi, representing the 80,000 sages, is now asking questions to Suta Goswami. And the first chapter is entitled Questions by the Sages. And 6 questions are asked by Shaunaka Rishi to Suta Goswami. What are the 6 questions? First question. What is the ultimate good for all humanity? Second question. What is the essence of all scriptures? Third question. Why did Lord Krishna come to this world? Fourth question. Please explain to us the pastimes of Lord Krishna. Fifth question. Tell us the different incarnations of Lord Sri Krishna. And sixth question. My dear Suta Goswami, Krishna has left this world and gone back. How is religion surviving? What is religious principles taken shelter of? Please tell us. So Shaunak Rishi, on behalf of the 80,000 sages, asks these 6 questions to Suta Goswami, and chapter 2 and chapter 3 is answers to these 6 questions. And I'm not going to get into the details of all the questions. But when he asks what is the essence of all scriptures, Suta Goswami explains devotional service. Samsiddhir Haritoshanam. To please Lord Krishna through devotional service is the essence of all scriptures. To serve Lord Sri Krishna. And all the 6 questions are very systematically answered in chapter 2 and 3 of the Srimad Bhagavatam. Devotional service to Krishna. To please Krishna. To serve Krishna. And not to look for anything for oneself. Not doing service or rendering service to Krishna with some agenda on the mind. But to selflessly serve Krishna. Ahaituki apratihata yayatma suprasidati. The soul is satisfied by selflessness. How many of you, when you got a piece of Mahaprasad, were very tempted to have that Mahaprasad? And how many of you, although you were very tempted to have that Mahaprasad, saw someone and gave it away to that person? You did not raise your hands for that. In eating the prasadam, there is some satisfaction. But in sharing that prasadam with someone else, there is deeper satisfaction. Selfless service satisfies the soul. Yayatma suprasidati. Srila Prabhupada once was traveling, and his lady disciple had was making samosas for his lunch pack the next morning. So Srila Prabhupada entered into the kitchen and saw she was frying samosas, And Prabhupada started eating the samosas. 1, 2, 3. And the first batch that was fried, he finished it. And was waiting for the second batch to come out. And when the second batch was ready, he kept eating it. He finished everything. And the lady was quite intrigued. She said, Prabhupada, how many samosas can you eat? Srila Prabhupada said, more than what you can make. And then this lady thought, I'll ask him a question. She asked him, Prabhupada, may I ask you a question? Yes. Prabhupada, who is your favorite cook? Obviously she expected, the answer she expected was pretty obvious. Prabhupada had finished all her samosas. Who is your favorite cook, Srila Prabhupada? And Prabhupada paused for a while and said, me. My favorite cook is me. Everyone else cooks different things. But my favorite cook is me. And she was serving Srila Prabhupada and doing the service. But Prabhupada detected that there was something on her mind. She wanted Prabhupada to say that she is his favorite cook. And therefore, the Bhagavatam explains that devotional service with nothing on the mind but simply to please is the essence of all scriptures. And in chapter 3 of the Srimad Bhagavatam, Suta Goswami answers the 4th questions, describe to us all the incarnations. So chapter 3 describes all the incarnations of the Supreme Lord Sri Krishna. And then the last question was, when Krishna has departed from this world, where has religion taken shelter? And Suta Goswami explains, Krishna left, but Krishna came back again to this world in the form of the Srimad Bhagavatam. This book is Krishna. This is not a book. This is not a book with paper and ink. This is Krishna. Just like we have Krishna come in the form of, a deity in stone or metal, Krishna comes in the form of a book as Grantharaj, Srimad Bhagavatam. And therefore when we read, hear or speak on the Srimad Bhagavatam, we are directly in personal contact and association of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Sri Krishna. And I can tell you by my personal experience, sometimes when the mind is very agitated, very disturbed, and it is always. Because of the anarthas coming up, the mind is very agitated and disturbed. Because of the way we are dealt with by others, the mind is very agitated and disturbed. Because of some misunderstandings and conflicts, the mind is very agitated and disturbed. Because of some health reasons, the mind is very agitated and disturbed. In Kali Yuga, the mind is constantly disturbed. Sometimes when I attend very serious management meetings in Bombay, and I'm trying to make my opinion and I'm trying to push it across, and no one listens, and the mind is so disturbed, they didn't hear me, They didn't listen to me. I come back and I try to chant Hare Krishna to pacify my mind. But while I'm chanting Hare Krishna, my mind is just going here, there, everywhere. One thing that can draw the mind and pacify the mind immediately is Srimad Bhagavatam. When the mind is disturbed, to take shelter of the words of the Srimad Bhagavatam and the purports of His Divine Grace, Srila Prabhupada, can bring such peace and such solace to the mind, Because this book is non-different from the Supreme Lord, Sri Krishna. And therefore Sutta Goswami answered the sixth question by saying, although Krishna left, Krishna came back to this world again in the form of Srimad Bhagavatam. In chapter 4 of the first canto, the sages start asking a question. Shaunak Rishi asks Sutta Goswami, my dear Sutta Goswami, please tell us, how did Vyasdev compile the Srimad Bhagavatam? And how did his son Shukadeva Goswami learn the Srimad Bhagavatam? So he begins chapter 4 with the birth of Shukadeva Goswami. He explains how Vyasdev Parashar Muni begot in his womb of his wife Satyavati, a son whose name was Vyasdev, And Vyasdev gave birth to Shukadeva Goswami. When Shukadeva Goswami was in the womb of his mother, he was not willing to come out. For more than 16 years, he didn't even come out. Why was he not willing to come out? Because he was extremely fearful of the material energy. He was fearful that Maya will influence him if he comes out of the womb of his mother. None other than Krishna had to come from Dwarka and promise Shukadeva Goswami, please come out, I promise you that my material energy will not touch you. I promise you that my material energy will not influence you. Krishna is promising that my Maya will not touch you. Then Shukadeva Goswami came out and immediately left home. And Srila Prabhupada said, Shukadeva Goswami was scared of Maya. He said, the only problem with my devotees is that they are not sufficiently afraid of the material energy. We can be afraid of horror movies. People can go and watch horror movies and get scared. One can be afraid of ghosts. When you walk this way, sometimes in the night when you have to walk from the gate of the Bhaktivedanta Manor to here, because you don't have the key to the gate, you have to jump over after the program and walk that whole distance. It's dark, and you've heard many ghost stories and read in the Srila Prabhupada's Leelamrita. When you walk here, my God, can be very afraid and scared. Srila Prabhupada said, the problem is that devotees are not sufficiently afraid of the material energy, Maya. Shukadeva Goswami was so scared of Maya that he was not even willing to come out. And Krishna had to promise him, don't worry, Maya will not touch you, you just come out. And Shukadeva Goswami came out. And then Sutta Goswami explains how his father Vyasadeva was sitting on the banks of the river Saraswati. He divided the one Veda into 4, seeing that people of Kali Yuga will not be able to understand this complicated Vedic literatures. He divided the one Veda into 4. Then commented upon them and gave the Upanishads, gave the 18 Puranas, gave the Mahabharata, gave the Vedanta Sutra, and yet he was dissatisfied. After having done so much good work for others, yet he was dissatisfied. This chapter proves that simply good work for others will not satisfy one. Because Vyasadeva was doing all the good work simply for the cause of society and for the benefit of society, yet he was not satisfied. And Vyasadeva started reflecting in his mind, what is the cause of my dissatisfaction? And as he was offering a prayer in his heart, why am I dissatisfied after doing so much good work? He thought, maybe I haven't glorified devotional service sufficiently. In all my works in the Upanishads, in the Puranas, in the Vedas, in the Mahabharata, in the Vedanta Sutra, looks like I have not sufficiently glorified the process of devotional service. And as he was thinking in his mind, immediately Narad Muni appeared there. Therefore, when we are dissatisfied and we have problems And when we are seeking answers to questions, we have to seek answers in two ways. Internally, through prayer, and externally, through guidance. Internally, we are seeking answers to prayers. Vyasadeva was sitting and thinking, I am dissatisfied. What is the cause of my dissatisfaction? Internally offering a prayer. And he came to a conclusion, yes, I think I have not sufficiently glorified the Lord. And at that time Narad Muni came and he asked Narad Muni also, what is the cause of my dissatisfaction? Guidance from outside, from a spiritual master, from the devotees. Because when the heart speaks something from inside, we are thinking it is Ram, but it could be calm. What our mind is saying may not essentially be what the Lord is saying, it may be our mind saying it. So we can't trust our mind so much. Vyasadeva did not trust his mind. When he was reflecting, what is the cause of my dissatisfaction? He thought, I have not glorified the process of devotional service sufficiently. He did not trust his mind. He asked Narad Muni when Narad Muni came there. And Narad Muni also conclusively said, yes, my dear Vyas, you have not glorified the Supreme Lord and devotional service to Him sufficiently. And then Narad Muni started talking about devotional service. And no matter what we talk to people, unless we share our experience, people are never inspired. You know, when the Back to Godhead magazine was, one of the most popular column was, How I Came to Krishna Consciousness. Most popular column. And there are all kinds of stories, you know, how devotees come to Krishna consciousness. And it used to be so inspiring for people to read how devotees came to Krishna consciousness. One lady, she was such a fan of trees and plants, such a fan of nature, she would live up on a mountain and never even come down, survive on fruits and berries and water on the mountains. And she would take care of the plants and nourish the plants. And this lady, while she was sitting up there on a mountain, American lady, one day just decided to come to the city. And suddenly as she came into the city, she walked into a Hare Krishna temple of all places. And she came for the morning program. And in the morning program, Tulsi Puja was going on. So she saw everyone was offering incense to Tulsi. Everyone was singing prayers to Tulsi. Everyone was offering water to Tulsi. Going around Tulsi, she said, wow, I've been living with plants, but I never saw a plant being worshipped. So she asked the devotees, what is this? And the devotees said, who are you? What do you do? She said, I love trees. She said, the devotee said, this is the best of all trees, and in our movement, in our temple, we worship trees. And she found that they even dressed trees because there's a skirt around the Tulsi Maharani plant, you know. She was so fascinated, she joined the temple because a plant is worshipped in the temple and became a disciple of Srila Prabhupada. You know, how people come to Krishna consciousness is quite intriguing, and how people stay in Krishna consciousness, that is even more intriguing. One of Srila Prabhupada's disciple, Yashomati Nandan Prabhu, he came and he got initiated from Srila Prabhupada. And then, you know, on the day of initiation, he was asked to shave his head. And people are so attached to the hair. So difficult to shave the head, you know. One of my friends is a hair transplant surgeon. You know, he gives hair to people who are bald. So I once went to his clinic and everyone around was surprised. More than everyone, he was surprised because he is a devotee. He said, Prabhuji, why do you need hair? You're a brahmachari, aren't you? I said, no, I'm not come for hair transplant, I'm come for some other thing. I said, we have two different professions, you know. Your profession is to grow hair, mine is to take hair away. Making people join the temple sometimes. Yashomati Nandan Prabhu shaved his head for initiation. And he was working then. And he was thinking, how do I go, you know? How do I go to office with a shaven head? People will all miss, what will they think of me? So he said, I won't go to office till my hair grows. I'll stay in the temple. And he stayed in the temple for his hair to grow. But by the time his hair had grown up, he said, what's the point going back to work? He joined the temple full time. You know. So there's quite an amazing thing, how people come to Krishna consciousness and how people stay in Krishna consciousness. Experience works very well. So when Narad Muni glorified the process of devotional service, then he shared his own personal experience of how devotional service transformed him. And guess, which limb of devotional service Narad Muni glorified? as the most powerful means to achieve transformation. Narad Muni is telling Vyasdev, look at how devotional service to Krishna has changed me. He said, once I was a servant of a maid, the child of a maid servant, the son of a maid servant, and my mother used to go and work in different families, earn some money, and I was just a little boy assisting her. One day, great devotees, the Bhakti Vedantas, they came to our place. And when the Bhakti Vedantas came, my mother was trying to serve these great Vaishnavas, And I was just assisting my mother in trying to serve these great Vaishnavas, these great Bhakti Vedantas. And because they were so pleased with the service that I rendered to them, they blessed me. Imagine Narad Muni glorifying the process of devotional service, and amongst all elements of devotional service, he didn't say, I changed by chanting Hare Krishna. He didn't say, I changed by reading the Vedic literatures. He said, I offered service to the great Bhakti Vedantas, and by their blessings, suddenly I found a taste for devotional service. There is no greater, powerful means in devotional service to attain the mercy of Krishna than Vaishnava Seva. Chapter 4, 5 and 6 of the Srimad Bhagavatam is the conversation between Vyasdev and Narad Muni. Vyasdev is dissatisfied. He prays internally. What is the cause? I didn't glorify devotional service. Narad Muni comes and gives guidance externally. Yes, you are right. And then he shares his experience. How devotional service changed him. And he said, the Bhakti Vedantas left. And I was left alone along with my mother. And one fine day, by the will of Providence, my last shelter, my mother, she was taken away from me. He said, Krishna took away that last shelter from me. I was holding on to my mother and serving her, and I thought she was my shelter. The Vaishnavas, the Bhakti Vedantas had blessed me. My mother left because a snake bit her. And I took that as an arrangement of the Lord and started traveling all over the planet. Going through cities, going through mountains, going through metropolises, traveling all around trying to experience the creation of the Lord. And one day, I came and sat on the banks of a river under a tree with my eyes closed. Suddenly, I saw the Lord. I saw the Lord in my meditation. It was such an incredible experience of seeing the Lord. That one moment, it was so amazing. And suddenly, the darshan disappeared. I saw him for a moment and it just disappeared. I opened my eyes and turned around to see. Where did he go? What is that darshan? I've just tasted it. I want it again. And I heard an aerial voice speaking. My dear child, continue living now, and after you die, in your next millennium, you will be Narada Muni, traveling all around with your veena, chanting the glories of the Lord. Narada Muni, bajaya veena, Radhika Ramana Name. When Vyasdev heard this, of how devotional service had transformed Narada Muni, and what element of devotional service? Service to the Vaishnavas. There is no greater, powerful asset in the life of a devotee than the blessings of a Vaishnava. And therefore, the sum and substance of devotional service between 4 and 6, chapters 4 to 5 and 6 of the first canto are giving us this message. That there is no greater asset than the blessings of a Vaishnava. When they bless, we get an audience with the Lord. How many of us have had this experience that we suddenly get that taste like Narad Muni got in a kirtan? So all of a sudden it just comes, All of a sudden in a kirtan it just comes. Or all of a sudden we are taking darshan and that day it just seems, wow! Wow! While reading sometimes the Srimad Bhagavatam, one purport, wow! I want to read again. That evening you read and gone. Like Narad Muni. Isn't it? Have you experienced this? How many of you feel one day while chanting suddenly, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna. And you think, I cracked the formula. Tomorrow I'll sit like this, hold the beads like this, think like this, and chant like this, and I'll have the same experience. Gone. One kirtan, there is horripilation, tears coming down the eyes. I'm saying, Krishna, I'm so fallen. I'm going to take devotional service seriously. Krishna. And next morning some prasadam comes and everything's forgotten. Gone. You know. Imagine devotional service. What an amazing process, isn't it? Narad Muni saw Krishna in his heart and suddenly it disappeared. The Lord wanted him to work for it through his life and then receive it as a taste throughout his life as Narad Muni. And therefore Krishna is so kind, he sends us those free samples. Take it. See it. And once addicted, Hare Krishna. Now you're hooked. But he takes it away, now work. A whole life of devotional service to achieve that taste in Krishna consciousness, you know. And therefore chapter 4, 5 and 6 talk about the glories of devotional service as presented by Narad Muni, in particular service to the Vaishnavas and blessings of the Vaishnavas as the means to achieving taste. Sadhu Kripa begins the bhajan and Vaishnav Kripa gives perfection to the bhajan. Sadhu Kripa begins the bhajan and Bhagavat Kripa gives perfection to the bhajan. Therefore, it is very, very important to serve Vaishnavas, please the Vaishnavas, and receive their blessings in such a way that we get taste, the way Narad Muni got taste for his devotional service. You know, after having heard from Narad Muni his experience, Vyasdev said, what should I do now? Narad Muni said, now compile a literature which exclusively glorifies devotional service to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Sri Krishna. And then Vyasdev, in the maturity of his realization, compiled Chakre Satvata Samhitam, the Srimad Bhagavatam. And there it explains what is the result of hearing the Srimad Bhagavatam. Yasya vai shruyamananam Krishne paramapurushe, you know, shoka moha bhayapaha. When one listens to the glories of the Lord from the Srimad Bhagavatam, three things go away. Shoka, moha, and bhaya. What is shoka? Lamentation. What is moha? Illusion. What is bhaya? Fear. You know what is shoka? Lamentation. Lamentation about the past. You know what is moha? Illusion. Illusion about the present. I think I'm great. I think I'm the controller. I think I'm the Lord. I think everything goes my way. And you know what is bhaya? Fear about the future. Shoka is about the past. Moha is about the present. And bhaya is about the future. Lamenting over the past. Illusion about the present. And fear about the future. This book and the words of this book and the purports by Srila Prabhupada have the potency to destroy all these three. And I can tell you, when we read these purports, truly, it can help us deal with lamentation. Lamentation over the past. We make mistakes. Everyone makes mistakes. All of us make mistakes. In our life and even in our devotional service. To err is human, to forgive is divine. And what's beautiful is that a Staedtler pencil comes with an eraser at the back, you know. So even if we do make mistakes, we can just turn it around and change those mistakes by rectifying those mistakes. Reading this book helps us deal with the lamentation of the past. This book throws light by destroying the present illusion that we have when we think that we are in control, when we think that things go our way. When we read these books and the episodes and the stories and the narration in this book, we realize things are not in our control. Our illusions are dispelled. We come to reality. And bhaya, fears about the future, what will happen to me, are dispelled because we read pastimes of how Krishna has protected his devotees. Prahlad, Ambarish. If we just take shelter of him, we don't have to worry. about what comes, and we don't have to be fearful of the future. Krishna is there, Srila Prabhupada is there to take care of us. So Vyasadeva, in the maturity of his realization, compiled the Srimad Bhagavatam and gave this benediction that those who hear and read this Bhagavatam will get over Shoka, Moha and Bhaya. And he taught the Srimad Bhagavatam to Shukadeva Goswami. At this point of time, Shonak Rishi is talking to Suta Goswami, and Suta Goswami says, now I want to tell you the story. Now I want to tell you the story of how Parikshit Maharaj got the Srimad Bhagavatam from Shukadeva Goswami. And now the scene shifts completely to the Mahabharata. So it's 8:45, we will continue tomorrow from where we left. And I ensure you that we will cover till Canto 6 tomorrow. But just to summarize what we heard today, the first thing we heard was, Srila Prabhupada was so kind to give us these commentaries. We should remember the struggle, the 5 things of the commentary, how hard it is to write a commentary, And then we started by talking about how this chapter begins with the questions of the sages. 80,000 sages in Naimisharanya asking questions to Suta Goswami. Shonak Rishi is representing them. 6 questions are asked by them. The 6 questions are, what is the ultimate good for everyone? Essence of all scriptures? Why did Krishna appear? Please narrate the pastimes of Krishna. Tell us about the incarnations of Krishna. And when Krishna left, where did religious principles take shelter of? And then Suta Goswami describes the answers to these questions. And essence of all questions is, essence of all scriptures is devotional service to Krishna, to please Krishna. And then he also describes about how, although Krishna left, Krishna has come back in the form of the Srimad Bhagavatam. Chapter 4, 5 and 6 talk about the conversation between Vyasadeva and Narad Muni, describing Vyasadev's dissatisfaction. And we learnt, seek answers to questions and problems internally through prayer and externally through guidance of the spiritual master and Vaishnavas. So internally he reflected and he confirmed it with Narad Muni. Narad Muni confirmed, your dissatisfaction is because of not having glorified devotional service properly. And then Narad Muni explains his experience of how devotional service transformed him. And it came through the blessings of the Vaishnavas, the Bhakti Vedantas. By those blessings, from the son of a maid servant, he became Narad Muni, traveling all around the world, glorifying the process of devotional service. Then Vyasadeva said, what should I do now? Narad Muni said, compile literature which glorifies devotional service exclusively. That is how Vyasadeva compiles the Srimad Bhagavatam, right? And gives us the benediction that if we hear the Bhagavatam, we transcend Shoka, Moha and Bhaya. Shoka, Moha, Bhayapaha. And then Suta Goswami begins to describe about Shukadeva Maharaj's meeting with Parikshit Maharaj, which we will hear tomorrow morning and continue our discussion on the Srimad Bhagavatam from Canto 2 to Canto 6 tomorrow. Thank you all very much. Hare Krishna. Grantharaj Srimad Bhagavat Mahapuran ki, Srila Prabhupada ki, Gaur Premanande. Hare Hare.